At this point, you must be wondering, what the heck is Terry doing? Let's take you back to a rewind.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Have a seat.
Thank you. Thank you.
So basically, I'm a representative from the Uganda Boxing Association, and we're here to sign a contract between you two athletes. So the reason we're signing this contract is basically, you see, in sports law, you have to have the terms and regulations and conditions of the fight written down, so that it's legally binding, so that everything is known beforehand, what is allowed and not allowed in the fight, and what everyone is getting out of this.
Okay.
So that's what we're here to do today.
Okay.
So I have a question. Does that mean that contract law is important in sports law for athletes?
It is very important.
Yes,
it protects the athletes legally.
Yeah.
Yes, the athletes take a lot of protection for their physical bodies in the ring, but they also need legal protection. That's where this contract comes in. That's where we come in. Right. Yes.
Alright.
I'm definitely going to need a lot of legal protection from him because he looks so.
And physical.
So there are contracts for us.
I can't wait.
Yes.
I can't wait.
You can't wait.
I can't wait.
I also can't wait.
Just can't wait.
You're under Team Eric.
Team Eric. Yeah.
Okay.
Team Eric and Team Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this.
So these are contracts for us to sign.
Right. And just saying that.
Woo!
Thank you for that.
Let's commence this match.
Let's have a good fight.
So we trained and trained and trained and trained until we kept asking ourselves, are our contracts really enforceable? Are our contracts really something that is binding in law? Well, Simply Legal is here to tell you that every contract that happens in the sports world, every contract that happens in sports law is legally binding. Sports law encompasses a number of things, which include contract law, employment law, labor law, and also tort law.
After all the vigorous training, after all the tireless efforts, after all the push-ups and pull-ups, we decided to go for the final match. But before we go for the final match, I should be able to tell you that there are a number of principles governing sports law. Sports law in Uganda is a very virgin area, but it coordinates and encompasses a lot of areas of law. It encompasses tort law, it encompasses contract law, it encompasses labor law. Now, briefly stating, in contract law, you saw that in the beginning I signed a contract with my adversary. That means that all athletes are bound by contracts, both express and applied terms. In Uganda, we have the Contracts Act of Uganda, Contracts Act of 2010. The Contracts Act gives us a number of sections which govern how contracts are done in Uganda. But in this particular topic I'm talking about, when it comes to sports law, a contract which are signed are called enforceable contracts. Now therefore, we see that there are many principles of contracts under sports law. We also have labor law, employment contracts. Most of these athletes, for example, I'm Team Terry, so I am bound by all the terms of Team Terry. Team Terry is my employer. The other colleague of mine, was under Team Eric. That means we are both supposed to sign employment contracts. Employment contracts are governed by a number of acts in Uganda. We have labor unions in Uganda. We have the Workers' Compensations Act of Uganda. We have the Employment Act of 2006. All of these give us some sort of guidelines under which athletes or sportsmen are governed in terms of them being employees of, let's say, clubs like Arsenal Club, Chelsea Club. So we have the Workers' Compensations Act, we have the Employment Act, and other acts which bring in employment contracts. Under these employment contracts, we have what are called work hours, payment schedules, sick leave. All of these are elements of law which are under sports law. So what I'm basically trying to tell you is sports law encompasses a number of laws. Now, I'll wrap up finally at the end of the video, but let's go for the most interesting part. See you there.
Now in this particular part, you see me putting in a number of illegal drugs which enhance human performance in sports. Most athletes have been disqualified from competitions and in very, very prestigious institutions such as the World Olympic Federation, Uganda Olympic Federation, and with what's called doping. So many acts and many companies, many organizations have come up to do what's called anti-doping. So that is banning the use of drugs to enhance human performance. What I'm doing right here in this particular scene, I'm trying to show you that it is illegal to use drugs when you're an athlete, when you're actually performing.
So here we are for the final showdown between Team Terry and Team Eric, or as you can also call it, Team Red. Eric is Team Black. But before we do this, I need to show you our choice of ring. It's not one of the fanciest rings you will ever see, but just to add also a little humor to it, we have our brick fence here. We have our ring, and this is just something that's going to aid us in our boxing event. This is my team over here. This is where I'm going to be seated after every round. We're going to have 3 rounds, and after a round, each round will be 5 minutes. Every after 5 minutes, round 1 gets done. So we'll make this really brief, then after that explain the legal principles behind it. But I might say I'm actually very excited to be in this ring because it shows how a boxing trainer trains himself, someone who actually embodies sports, and that's what is the entire embodiment of sports law in Uganda. So let's get ready to rumble! Come on. after that vigorous first round, I can't wait to knock him out. Give him a KO. 1, 2, an uppercut. He seemed to have taken me, but I hope I'm protected under the laws of the Employment Act. Employment Act is going to, it normally gives us rules and regulations under which we can perform under a boxing match. Usually they're supposed to give us mouth guards, and they're supposed to provide us with enough equipment to protect ourselves during a boxing match so that we can protect ourselves from sustaining injuries. Otherwise, if my sponsors, which is Team Red or Team Terry, does not give me any protective gear and I sustain injuries in a boxing match, then I can sue Team Terry for not protecting me or for not giving me gear, which is stipulated under the Workers' Compensations Act and also the Employment Act. So let's go for round 2. Ding ding. Let's go round 2.
You're back. You're back.
I'm back. Huh? I'm back.
What I gave you was not enough.
I have to win.
You have to win. Huh? Show me that you can. Show me. Is that all you can do? Huh?
My jab is the heaviest.
Is that all you can do? Huh? Is that all you can do?
I'll knock you out.
Is that all? Is that all? Is that all?
Let me show you Mike Tyson.
It's got a lot of energy. Yes, a lot of energy. It's hitting me.
The second round is mine. It's mine. It's mine. It's mine. Woo! Yeah. Woo! Yeah. Team Terry. Team Terry. Woo!
This guy used some drugs. Use some drugs.
That's false. Did you see me?
No. You use drugs.
Where's your evidence?
Man, no. With that kind of energy, you did start with it. You used some drugs. No.
Really?
I cannot accept that. No. With the energy, no, you can't. And you know it. You know it.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Personally, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the charisma, the build-up to the match, and to take you down this trip through sports law lane. Now, before I finish up the video, I know you must have noticed that we signed a contract in the beginning. This means that sports law has a number of laws which are encapsulated into it. We have the Contracts Act of 2010, which states that the moment you are an athlete, you should be able to sign a contract with your partnering company. This is what's usually called an endorsement deal, but that's another field of law entirely, but it's also included in sports law. All in all, what I want to tell you is that the Contracts Act is included in sports law. In the Contracts Act, we have express terms and implied terms. A contract can either be oral or written. Now, if EA Sports, or maybe let's say Adidas, comes and wants to sign up a deal with me being a very good boxer, then we are going to sign a contract, and there will be both express and implied terms that both of us should adhere to. Both of us should fulfill our ends of the bargain. Then we also have another area of law are called tort law. Under tort law, these are basically civil wrongs, and as a boxer I am supposed to be protected. Now, in the case that my opponent punches me or hits me in a very wrong way, in a way that is very detrimental to my health, then there I can bring an action against him or his partnering company under the laws of tort law. Another principle of law we have is called employment law or labor law. There are a number of acts which govern who or what a person can come under. We have the Workers' Compensations Act, we have the Employment Act of 2006. All of these give specific guidelines under which an employee should operate in. If I'm an employee of Adidas or Nike, and they sponsored me for a boxing match. They're supposed to be stipulated under our Employment Act, which is drafted for me. So there we have the hours of which I'm supposed to be working. We have our training programs. We have the payment schedule. We have sick leave. We have injury time. All of that. Finally, we have the Constitution. This is the final act I'm going to give you. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And as you can see, in our boxing match, I used what were called drugs. I used what was called doping in sports law. And there are many laws which are against doping. We actually call them anti-doping. We forgot to test for whether we had drugs, but then that would be a very, very long procedure. But all in all, Article 23 states that a person's right to liberty will be deprived of them if the person depriving them of that liberty is suspecting them of using drugs or narcotics, or they are people of unsound mind. Now, what I just did earlier on before the match is in contravention with Article 23 of the Constitution. Objective 17, still of the Constitution, states that the government should uphold and will uphold all physical and sports activities for Ugandans, meaning every Ugandan has a right to physical education, physical sports, which we have just done. But the moment I used drugs, there's also a United Nations Convention which is against using drugs, or which is called doping, which is basically anti-doping rules. So I would be actually in contravention of many acts, and that's the video for you. Thank you so much for joining us in this sports law adventure. For those of you who are in law school and want to partake in sports law and go through with it, it's a very, very lovely area of law, very virgin, and in Uganda here in particular, it is something which has not been touched so much. Most people are into constitutional law and everything, but I would say I enjoy looking at sports law, I enjoy reading it. So those of you who are new to my channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button. For those who are new to my channel, feel free to hit me in the comment section and tell us whether you enjoyed this video. For those of you who are new to my channel, feel free to hit me up and tell me about a future video you want me to talk about. And I'll see you next time. Peace.